You are probably really nervous because you got an invite to an interview for your dream job or a really important job you really want to land. So here are a few tips on how to prepare the right way. Probably you don't know what to expect. You don't know who will be interviewing you and so on, right? So interviews can be a bit tricky and a bit challenging, but no worries. I think you can perform well if you get prepared very well. So first of all, what I would recommend you to do, step one, take a look at the job ad again. I know you keep hearing about job ads all the time when I'm doing interviews, but this really matters. So take a look at the job ad and go through the tasks of this position again, also through the qualifications they are looking for, because this information is essential. So when you apply for positions, always make sure that you save this job ad somewhere, because it may be gone by the time they are going to interview people because they have sufficient candidates. So take a look at this job ad and try to go through the information and find examples. When you look at the qualifications and tasks you will be doing in this job, try to find examples of where you have done similar work, of where you have already gained experience that's relevant for this job, and try to have these examples ready. Also come up with a storyline of why you are so interested and also suitable for this position. This is really relevant information. And I know it sounds basic, but let me tell you, I have had a lot of candidates walk into my interviews and they were not really informed about what exactly they would be doing in this role. And this is something which feels to me as if this person is not well prepared. So this really matters, and job ads are relevant over here. Of course, there are a kind of wish list, but it's important to read this and also be aware of, let's say, weaknesses or gaps you may have. So there may be stuff on this job ad that you're not fulfilling, right? Maybe you're not like 100% match, but an 80% or 70% match. So come up with a good story for these gaps as well. Why are you still suitable, and how are you going to close these gaps? There's always a way to deal with this, but you may have to, get ready for kind of critical questions regarding these kind of missing qualifications. So that's the first thing I would do. Read up on the job ad. Then, of course, do your research online, just like you did for your cover letter and CV. By the way, I'm linking my video on cover letters up here in the video so that you can take another look at it. Do some research. Figure out what were the latest news on the company. Did they just, publish any kind of achievements? What kind of technology are they currently working on? Was the person you are going to have your interview with probably interviewed somewhere else? So this is good to get to know the company and have some content for a small talk, some content to add when you're talking about why you want to work for this company and so on. So do your research. And this also brings me to the third kind of step. So take a look at the job ad, do research online, and then get prepared, right? And getting prepared means think about what you want to wear. Even if this is a video kind of call, or even if they have not told you, if they've just sent you a Zoom invite, they have probably not told you if this is going to be a video call or just an audio call. So I would prepare for this the same way you would if you would walk into the interview personally. So think about what you want to wear. And for this, I think attire matters. So if you apply to a startup, which is kind of, informal, everyone's really casual, it would be weird if you would wear a suit, right, and a tie. So you can learn about this and figure it out on their social media channels. I think Facebook, LinkedIn, even Instagram tells you so much about the company culture, and you can try to adapt a bit. Same goes if you walk into an interview with a bank, right, or in the financial sector. It would be probably more formal, and it would feel really awkward if you would be wearing a shirt or a hoodie or something like that. So it really depends on the company, the industry, the location, the department, and so on. And for this, I think you can check out social media. Now, the second thing you should do to get prepared is to find the right spot to have your interview. Now, in times of a pandemic, everything's happening at home. And I think people tend to forget that the kind of background they have, also what you see here and here, really, really matters. It's a kind of first impression. So make sure that you have a kind of quiet surrounding. And I know this is sometimes difficult if you are probably living in a shared kind of house with your family around or your friends around. Just make sure that you find a quiet spot. And just yesterday, I was talking to a friend of mine who's also a recruiter, and she was like, I have like scheduled calls with people for an interview or a conversation, and then they pick up the phone and everything's noisy in the background and the person is somewhere outside. And I just don't get why people don't prepare for these kind of calls if they are already pre-scheduled. It's not like a surprise kind of call. So why is this person walking around outside with a noisy background? And I know that in other places, it's probably the best way to go outside and have a conversation there because it may be quieter than at home. But let me tell you, I think in Germany, it's more common to really look for a quiet kind of environment. So if you can try to, make your family go for a walk, to have a bit of a quiet surrounding, and try to have a neutral background, which is kind of clean. It can also be personal. But I mean, if you look at my background, what you will see is, well, a kind of picture on one side and a plant on the other side. It's not very personal, right? But it's kind of clean. So you may want a clean kind of background that looks kind of tidy, and it's also not too personal. I mean, you won't get to see my bedroom or a very kind of like the middle of my kitchen or whatever, just a neutral kind of background. I think that's helpful to focus fully on your interviewers. So just to sum it up, take a look at the job ad again. Take a look at their online channels, websites, and so on. Prepare your kind of environment, check your technical devices. And then, of course, the last thing, and that's most important, I think, is to practice and also research on questions they may ask you. And here in Germany, I think they tend to ask critical questions. So we really like to get to know the person, when we ask interview questions. So there will probably be questions about weaknesses, about critical kind of situations you faced, also about stuff that motivates you. And we really pay attention to kind of culture fit. So it's good to be authentic. Don't try to, pretend to be someone you are not. Because in the end, you are a human being, right? And when you hire someone, you will also have like a close kind of interaction on a personal level. So it matters that you are a good fit. And I think it will also make you less nervous if you try to be authentic and don't pretend to be someone you're not. So try to do some research on potential interview questions, prepare some answers, and you can, practice with a friend. Just ask a friend to pretend to be the interviewer and then practice your pitch, your kind of self-introduction. And by the way, your self-introduction should be something related to the job ad. So when in the beginning, you will always be asked to present yourself quickly. And when you do this, I mean, this person doesn't want to hear everything about your life. If you hold a PhD, they don't want to hear about what you did in high school, or a lot about where you grew up and all this kind of stuff. So select this information just like you did for your cover letter and your CV. Select this information based on what they are looking for in the job ad. That's what matters. And that's why your introduction is a kind of pitch of yourself, right? And that's why it's good to do your research and to practice. And same goes for questions. Just practice, particularly the more critical kind of stuff, because you don't want them to, make you nervous, or you don't want to feel stressed in this kind of interview situation. So it's good to practice. And we will publish an article on interview questions that you may expect, and also how to get prepared. So I will link this in the comment section here, and I think that will be of great help, because I'm not going to go through all potential interview questions. So you can check them out there. Yeah, practice a bit, and also make sure that you prepare questions. Here we like, really proactive people. So prepare questions. You can also ask them stuff. And of course, you also need to research on salary expectations. So we also have a video on that, which I'm going to link here on the upper part of the video. So yeah, just to sum it up, take a look at the job ad, take a look at their online channels, find a nice setup of where you can do your interview, and then practice, practice, practice. That's what matters. And the most important thing for me is really try to be authentic. Don't be too nervous. I think if you are yourself, if you show a bit of your personality and your personal character traits, people will like you. I mean, it's all about this kind of personal feeling, right? And to be honest, if you are authentic and if you show them who you really are, and if you tell them about your motivation, and if they decide not to hire you in the end, then to be honest, this company would probably also not be a good fit for you then, because it's really about culture fit, and you also want a job that is kind of suitable for you, right? So if it doesn't work out, don't be demotivated, then it's definitely not the right employer for you. So then this is just a good practice, right? And maybe it works out. I hope, yeah, this video was helpful for you as a starting point. I will publish more videos on interviews because I think there's so much to talk about. So leave me your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what your interview was like, what you went through, if it worked out well, and I'll keep my fingers crossed for you. And I hope you'll manage to land your dream job. Let's stay in touch.